Great. We're seeing a few more people joining us. Perhaps we can get started, shall we, Giovanna? Excellent. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Welcome to this really important milestone for this project, where we kick off the survey of international organizations of working on STI activities. And let me start by introducing the agenda. This meeting is being recorded. Perfect. So we have a packed agenda. As today we're going to show you the survey system, but we'll start with a brief opening remarks from us on the OECD side and also UNDESA. We'll run a short introduction to this project for those that might be new here. I think some of you have been working with us since the beginning and others are new in this meeting. And then we'll show you the survey. We'll tell you what it is and what to expect. Most of you received a link this morning to join this system to see how the data collection works. And we'll show you a few examples. It's not just going to be examples from the OECD, but we'll have some other examples from our colleagues here that will be sharing those. And we'll do this demo where we'll show you how the system works. So it will be quite hands-on and quite practical for you to get familiar with the platform. A few best practices and then some space for questions towards the end. If you're not speaking, please mute yourself. Thank you. Excellent. So at the end, we will answer questions. You can feel free to write them in the chat in the meantime. So with that, I will pass it to Michael, who's our project lead on this project, part of the OECD.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniela. I hope everybody can hear me fine. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As Daniela says, I'm just going to give a few opening words. I might be super brief because I think what's most important here is to see the survey in real life and also to better understand the process. Speaking of which, this is a process in which we at the OECD have great familiarity with. We've run surveys like this now using this platform 5 or 6 times over the last 8 years. So everything we know works usually quite well. There may be the odd hiccup here and there along the way, but let's see, because this is a new version of this survey. But all the infrastructure generally works very well. So you can be reassured on that. Also, just a very quick word of thanks from me as well that you're all here today. We started on this journey about a year ago, I should say, where we started on our STIP Compass journey about a decade ago. But we started this particular project about a year ago. We first reached out to Wei, who's going to say a few words in a moment, and he's been really important guiding us along the way, ensuring that everybody was on board, that all of you also had lots of opportunities to shape this project as well, because the data model, for example, on which the survey is built is really critically important, and it's been very important that all of you have engaged in that and have shaped that so that we have a survey which we're all comfortable with completing. So let me stop there. Again, welcome and thank you very much for joining today, and I pass back to Daniela. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. We'll continue then with the opening remarks of Wei, who has been a very good partner since the beginning, and he's also representing the IATT. Thank you, Wei. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, Michael, and colleagues from OECD. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone joining us today. On behalf of UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, I'm very pleased to join you for this kickoff of the International Organizations Survey on STI activities. Having been involved with this work from the early conceptual discussions, it is truly encouraging to see us reaching these important milestones together. Let me begin by recognizing OECD's leadership in initiating and coordinating this effort. This survey and the repository it will feed into come at a crucial moment around the world. Governments are relying more than ever on evidence-based policy on science, technology, innovation to advance the 2030 agenda and the SDGs. IOs have accumulated a wealth of experience through programs, technical assistance, policy advice, but this experience is not easily visible in one place. This is precisely the gap that IOs survey and repository aim to address. By systematically mapping our STI activities, we can make our collective effort more transparent, identify synergies and avoid duplication, and better support countries, especially those with greatest needs, with coherent and well-coordinated support. From UNDESA's perspective, this initiative complements our broader work on STI for sustainable development, including our support to UN Technology Facilitation Mechanism and our effort to strengthen data and evidence on STI policy globally. A more complete picture of what IOs are already doing will help us all to work smarter together. But the quality and the usefulness of this repository will depend entirely on your contributions, our contributions. I would therefore like to warmly encourage all participating organizations and focal points on this call to engage fully with the survey, to provide comprehensive, accurate information, to flag good practices, and to share examples that others can learn from. Your input and what will turn this from a simple database into a live resources for collaboration and policy learning. Let me close by thanking OECD team for their hard work in bringing us to this stage, and thanking all of you for your commitment and the time. I look forward to seeing the result of this pilot phase and to work with you as we refine and scale up this important tool. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wei, for your kind words and your support and all the helpful advice you've given us through the beginning. Wonderful. So I think we're going to get started, and we're going to introduce the project quite briefly, especially for those that are new. So I think, as Wei said, what motivates this project is really the dispersed information on policy initiatives from different international organizations, which is difficult to find, scattered around different websites, and without really a harmonization of this data. So this makes it difficult to grasp and understand these activities, the scope, and to explore potential complementarities, which can hinder opportunity for collaboration. So what we're proposing with this data collection process and this portal is to bring all of this information in one place, to have a taxonomy that groups them in a consistent way, and it's easy to find. And we're hoping this will help international organizations and others inform the planning of programs, of activities, and also provide a space for cooperation and exchange of best practices. So with this, we are planning to develop this portal, and we have developed the data model that has been developed with all of you, that has been tested to capture the wide variety of activities that international organizations do, from capacity building to technical assistance to standard settings. So we have 12 organizations that have joined us in this pilot that we're very pleased to have. Most of you are here today. So we have UNIDO. Thank you, Fernando, for joining us. We have WIPO with us, ITU, CEPAL or ECLAC. This is, as we said, a pilot only. It's a small segment of the universe of organizations that work in the STI space, but we hope it's the beginning of of this repository. And we thank all of you for being here. So to create this data model, we had to consult with you quite a lot in the last months. We had different bilateral consultations with a few of you, with UNESCO, NIDO, WIPO, and the World Bank. And we also received written feedback. All of these help us develop a data model that we think captures the variety of activities. It's probably not perfect, but it's close to capture the range of activities that organizations have. For example, in the OECD, we don't do capacity building, but many of your organizations do. So therefore, we had to make sure we're covering everything, and we're also building on the IATT work that has previously done mappings like this. So this is where we are in the journey. We started early this year. We participating in the UN STI Forum in New York, where we presented this initiative, and later also in Seville, in the International Conference for Finance and Development. And throughout this period, we developed this data model, then the survey, and we're here today, kicking off the data collection process. We'll run other tutorials in case they are needed. And once the data is collected, we will curate it and then make it available in a portal next year during Q1, probably Q2. So about this survey, what is it that we would like you to report? So what is the unit of analysis here? And we have defined it as an activity that is characterized by different elements, but some of the most important are the themes that describe the what of this activity, the target groups that describe the who, and the types of support mechanisms, which are equivalent to instruments, but slightly different in this context of international organizations. So in this survey, there's a list of 8 themes and 8 questions. These questions are covering these functional themes from policy advice, standard setting, funding, capacity building, international collaboration, monitoring and data, ethics and responsible research and innovation, and awareness and advocacy. So we won't go into the details of the data model. We have covered that in the past, but these are the types of questions that you will need to answer. And the good news is that we're asking you to report 20 initiatives, at least 20 initiative activities. So this is not a lot, and I imagine most of your organizations have perhaps hundreds of activities. The idea here is to reach this goal of 20 at least for this pilot phase. So it shouldn't be that time consuming, we hope. So what information is reported in each activity? So these are the fields that describe it, from the name of the activity to internet links or files that describe it. This is really useful information, especially now in the context of large language models. We can utilize any PDFs that you submit about your activities or websites URLs. So we encourage you to report those, the short description, objectives, the types of support mechanisms, beneficiaries, the start year of your initiative, background information that maybe explains the mandate as of why this activity was created, the target countries that this activity is aiming to, and the budget range, and whether it's evaluated. So there are other fields that are optional. We won't go into detail now. Giovanna will show you an example later of an initiative that was completed for you to see an example. It's important to make a small distinction in terms of the roles here. So the organization contact point, most of you here in this meeting are the ones. They are in charge of overseeing the survey. They are in charge of ensuring completeness and accuracy, and they're also able to coordinate it. So we're not expecting only one person to be completing this. there is the alternative to coordinate it with your colleagues, to invite, for example, other units within your organization to complete the survey. But we need at least one contact point that can be the person responsible for ensuring that the information is completed, and also to communicate with us and serve as this primary point of contact. The other respondents, they might be asked by the contact point to provide detailed data on the activities. They could perhaps focus on specific parts of the survey, and it can communicate also with us in case there are any technical issues. Perfect. So how to access the survey? This is the interface. So I think all of you received a link this morning to join the survey. It's an email with this subject, and make sure that it works for you. Let us know if it doesn't. So maybe you are prepared later in this presentation for when we do the demo, so you can understand a little bit how it works. Perfect. So I would like to show you a few examples of activities to give you ideas of what type of things could be reported. And with this, perhaps, Michael, I would like to give you the floor if you'd like to give us this overview on the activities that we selected for the OECD.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Daniela. We selected 21 activities, and you can see we've put them into these 4 different categories. So the OECD, as you might know, is a sort of body which mostly convenes policymakers, so it doesn't have funding, for example, that it distributes, whereas many of your agencies do. Nor does it provide in the field sort of technical support. It's very much an organization where countries come to us. They come regularly, and they come through committees and various different working parties, and these are quite important bodies. So we report some of the main ones in the STI policy field here. 6 of them in all is what we're running with at the moment. The OECD is also, of course, very well known for its data. So there's the STIP Compass itself, which this is a sort of branch of, but it's mostly our indicators, of course, that we're most well known for. Things like MSTI, which are our main science and technology indicators as well. But we also have other sorts of databases and information services here as well, covering things like AI, covering research and innovation careers as well. Then on the regulatory side, the OECD does a lot of what we call soft law. So there's some things like declarations, recommendations, and here we have quite a lot of these. So we've just picked out 4, really just a pilot. I think we've more than 20 of these that we could include. So we've just made a small selection. And finally, we also have things like manuals, like the Oslo manual, the Frascati manual. We also do country reviews. We have this big flagship publication called the STI Outlook that's been out for the last 30 years. So we're also reporting some big things like that as well. So those are the 4 types of things that we're reporting as part of the OECD contribution to this portal.
Thank you very much. We hope that gives you a flavor of the type of activities. But we also would like to invite Sacha from WIPO to share one initiative with us, which is the Global Innovation Index. So Sacha, can you perhaps unmute yourself and briefly present this activity that you have completed as an example?
Thank you, Daniela, and also Giovanna for calling on us, to Nancy, of course, for organizing it. And I see some old colleagues, or at least Michael and others around the table. So very happy that we are flagging or showcasing this. 2 intro comments maybe. One is, so this is extremely useful because in particular, if you have examples of tools at the IO level, but also at the national level. Why is this? In many cases of our work, so we usually, let's say this is Algeria's GII profile, we rank these countries based on their innovation performance, and then we identify strengths and weaknesses, and the country will usually ask us, how to overcome the venture capital weakness or innovation finance weakness. or how to stimulate business R&D, and then they will ask us, well, who has done anything similar in this regard, both at the national level or at the IO level. And for this reason, these sort of collections are extremely valuable. So we can then point to those. That said, there's also risk, of course, right? So I like your idea of 20 max. It's tempting for everybody. I'm talking a bit of experience, right? To list everything under the sun to show that we have a wide mandate and that we're very important, in particular in today's climate where we have to, or some of us have to justify their budgets in a better way. But then it somehow doesn't become as useful anymore, right? Because then we swamp the OECD Secretariat with 200 initiatives and so forth. And remember, I've been involved in some of these things also at OECD where then suddenly, of course, you had submitted your 45 items, but problem then was later on that you have to keep those up to date, right? So I think it's a good idea to be more targeted when we submit, including WIPO, right? So to be very selective and not to overcrowd or overflow the OECD Secretariat with examples. So then I was asked, this is my final point, to fill out one example. So we chose the WIPO Global Innovation Index, and we gave the start year, the particular themes, which is monitoring and data and policy advice, short description, the support mechanisms, and then also the actors or interlocutors that we see. So it's quite interesting because some of our exercises will be relevant to national governments, but not so much to TTOs or not so much to investors. And for other tools we have, it's different. So it's kind of interesting to select it in a very objective way, right? Rather than, and I'll probably have to prune this too because I still have too many actors or counterparts probably, but it's smart to maybe be quite focused here too. But as this is my contribution, I'm not sure I did what I was supposed to do, but let me know.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sacha. I think that's very illustrative, and also appreciate that indeed this is the beginning and it could be useful to have this repository of information for different purposes. We have one more example, which is from UNIDO. So Fernando, feel free to also talk about this activity.
Thank you, Daniela. Thank you, colleagues, for inviting me. I was not expecting to be showcased, but anyway, yeah, thanks for this idea of capturing the data. We don't really have say at UNIDO like many programs labeled as STI or related. There's a lot of technology transfer, and I think that's also a bit of the back and forth we had. How to reflect in the database some of the activities that are more concrete in terms of the actual doing of technology transfer and moving things. So that I think I appreciate the effort the colleagues at the OECD. For this one that I presented as a case is the one also because I'm working on, so I feel more comfortable explaining what it is. Just as you see there, so this is a part of one of the new services, policy advisory services we have. So we normally work on industrial policy, but in the recent years, we also see a stronger connection innovation policy and STI more broadly. So we decided to introduce some of the new initiatives around those ideas of what we call industrial innovation, right? So focusing on industry, but also focusing on the role of innovation. As it's a policy advisory service, it also brings some of the lessons learned from the work that we have been doing on the IITT, where many countries have said we need support in policy formulation, but we mainly have problems doing policy implementation, moving sort of the transition from the policy formulation into the actual doing of things. So we created this also a little bit inspired from the work we have seen in Latin America by UNESCO. And so we created this process where we try to support governments in developing new policy instruments or assessing the performance in some of the policy instruments. We do by promoting, say, government to government, but in some cases we also bring students as consultants or junior consultants. So you can see that some of the beneficiaries. So we try to tackle not just the need for an initiative or an instrument, but also some of the challenges that policymakers face in terms of capacity. Right? So again, it stresses the issue of connecting policy advice with capacity development and this transition from policy formulation into actual implementation. And that's it. So we are piloting this in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. So I thought this could be just thinking on filling this, how to move forward on this, provide this information. So I'm sure that UNIDO could have some other activities, but again, this is just an example of a very concrete service that we have as sort of capacity development and policy advice. Yep. So that's what I can say. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Fernando. Very clear example. Excellent. So we had a few others from UNESCO also, but I think you have probably now understood the type of activities that can be reported. And I would like to now invite Giovanna to do a demo of the survey tool, which also has one example from the OECD and should be helpful for you. So Giovanna, the floor is yours, and feel free to share your screen.
Thank you very much, Daniela. So indeed, I will guide you briefly through the survey interface. As already mentioned by Daniela, I have sent you this morning the access link to the survey. So we hope that you had a bit of time maybe to check it out and to familiarize yourself with the interface. But in any case, the idea is now to show you how it works, some of its features. So this is a test organization interface, and it has its different features. So I will maybe start by introducing these ones on the left corner. So for example, a feature of updating your account. The link that we sent you already contains your details, and you can modify them at any time. And then the feature of managing users, which we consider is a very useful one, because in your organizations, we know that there will be other colleagues that will contribute to completing the survey. So by entering their details here and sending them the message, you can invite them to contribute to the survey, as the idea is really for this to be a collaborative exercise and to really capture different relevant activities with a target of 20 for this pilot project. And here, of course, you can contact them, disable access if needed, modify, and also do other options. And then here we have the once you start completing your activities, you will be able to see the full list. You can also extract them in Excel, which can be very handy. And then here we have created the survey guidance page, which we shared with you also this morning together with the access links. So this page really contains everything you need to know about the survey. Here is a brief introduction of the pilot project, and then the timeline that we already showed with all the milestones and since the kickoff in March, and then also coming really to the survey launch, and you can see the different survey stages. And then we also made available some useful resources. So you can on this page access every time, at every moment, the full questionnaire with all the questions. Here we have, by clicking here in the survey guidance, we have created a step-by-step guidance to complete the survey. There are also some frequently asked questions that can be of help. And then finally, the contact details of the OECD Secretariat. So coming back to the survey interface, before I really move on to the survey structure, another useful feature that you can find here is actually the status of the activities, which can be very useful to have an overview. So for example, if the activity is incomplete and missing any mandatory fields, you will have the red box. And if it's complete and all the mandatory fields have been filled in, there will be this green tick box, as for example is the case with this activity. This will show all the details of the contact points. And finally, here you have the survey deadline, which is the 2nd of February 2026. And then moving on to the survey structure itself, Daniela already showed you the 8 questions or the 8 functional themes, and you can also find them here. So the idea is that you report 20 activities under the relevant functional themes. And so for this purpose, we have already added some of the OECD activities, and I will show you now how to add a new activity. So it's enough just to select the relevant theme and then click here. So this is the example of our committee. And basically you will have the IOs activity entry. And here you will be able to see all the fields that needs to be completed. And there is a set of mandatory fields that are marked in red. So I would like to use a specific example here of an activity that we have already completed. And this is the OECD Science, Technology and Innovation Outlook. And to show you, for example, how this activity was completed. Of course, we start with the name in English, and below every question, you have a very useful guidance text, just to give you an idea about the different, what is expected from you to report under each of these fields. And we have 2 types of fields, 2 main types of fields, the free text and the fields where we have our taxonomies, and that where you will be offered to choose from different options from the drop-down menu. So I won't go in details in all the fields, but you can see here that indeed we have the name, the acronym. You will be also asked to add the activity source, which can be a PDF or internet link, the start year, end year, the directorate, and then there is the field of short description and the objectives that you will be asked to add one by one. Maybe just to highlight here that the free text fields are really important for us, because after the survey completion, they really allow us to do a more detailed and advanced analysis of the responses that have been reported and to create some general insights. And then we have the expected impact. This is the field that we have added following your feedback and flagging the importance of adding this field, especially at our meeting in Seville. And then moving forward, we have a set of fields where you will be asked to select different options. So one example are the SDGs that the activity targets. And then maybe another field that I would like to mention now is a representative example. So here we have reported the STI Outlook, which is the biannual flagship publication, but we featured here its 2025 edition as a representative example. And then there is also the background information, partner and donor organizations, which sometimes can be the same organization. And maybe another field that is worth mentioning now are the target countries. So in this case, we have created groups. So for the STI Outlook, we have selected all the OECD member countries. We also have the possibility to select all the UN countries, because many of you that are completing the survey are part of the UN system. So there is a possibility just to select all of them. Otherwise, you can also select individual countries for some country-specific project or studies. And then also very importantly, for each activity, we ask you to report support mechanisms. So in case of the OECD STI Outlook, it's policy intelligence. but here again you have a menu with different options, and if you hover over, you can also see the description of these different support mechanisms, which can help you select the relevant ones, which can be one or several, of course. The last field I would like to specifically mention is the parent activity. So in many cases, there are single activities and there is an umbrella activity that if you have reported, here you're able to link the specific activity to its parent activity or like a bigger umbrella activity. And finally, we would ask you if the activity has been evaluated. In the case of STI Outlook, it wasn't the case, but if it is the case, you will also be asked to provide the evaluation link. And then finally, you have two options, to save it as a draft or to mark it as complete, but flagging that even if the activity is marked as completed, you can still add some changes. But indeed, if it's marked as complete, it will also show this green tick box, and it will be useful for also the guidance and having a general overview of where you stand with the completion progress. And there is one last thing I would like to show, and indeed, many of the activities might be relevant for different functional teams. So, for example, in the case of the OECD STI Outlook, we reported it under awareness and advocacy, but it also falls here under policy advice. So it is just enough, you don't have to report it twice, just by clicking on Add New Activity and selecting it here. You can click on Link, and it will appear also under this functional theme. So I think this is everything that I wanted to show you. I mean, this demo and all this meeting will be also posted on the survey guidance page that I just showed, so you can consult it. And of course, you can at any time contact the OECD team for any questions.
Thank you
so I
much,
give you back to Daniela. Mm-hmm.
Great. So I think that was a clear explanation, we hope. And just to wrap this up before we open for questions, we just want to share a few best practices that we have learned with the national survey that we conduct. We recommend you to start early. It might seem like the deadline is far away, the 2nd of February, but there's more activities associated with completing that need to be considered. So before you are actually ready to input information in the survey, you need to think and identify the 20 initiatives you want to report, and then gather the contact points or the respondents that will have the information or the sources, and then input that information, validating it afterwards. So it's important to consider this. This is not always a linear process, as most things in life. So you will need to go a little bit back and forth. So again, important to start early and build this contact network within your organization that can support you with the completion. Delegating and collaborating is also important, as you might not have all the information available. And it's important to also send reminders, monitor, and follow up. So we'll also be conducting other tutorials, but it's important that you keep these best practices in mind, and we'll be here to support you throughout. Great. So finally, just as next step, select these 20 activities, identify the colleagues, gather the relevant information, and visit our community page. Keep in mind this deadline of the 2nd of February and send us any questions you have. With that, I would like to close our presentation and open for questions. We have about 20 minutes, and we'll be happy to discuss any feedback or questions you may have. And maybe Michael is adding a comment that is important to have a contact network, because they will be users of the portal once it's ready. It's true. They might benefit from seeing the data and learning from each other's activities. So I will stop sharing and will appreciate if you want to show your cameras and share any insights or questions, maybe some ideas of what you would like to report already. I see, Christoph, your hand is up.
Yeah.
Please feel free to share.
Thank you very much for the presentation. My question was with regards, you showed some, are you going to share the PowerPoints that you presented? And then also, is there a way for us to look into the tool and see the entries of other people to help us get ideas and see how other people have entered things? Thanks.
Thank you, Christoph. So absolutely, we'll share this presentation with you. The recording will also be available. And we have indeed discussed that we can share this test link that we have that Giovanna showed you. It would be the examples from the OECD. So if that's useful to you, we could certainly share it afterwards, after this meeting.
Thank you. Yes, that would. Thanks.
Excellent. Are there any other questions or comments, any doubts at this stage? Yes, Wei, please feel free to raise comments.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I think also Michael mentioned about this create a network. Just a question regarding this, this inviting the own organizations, potential contributors step. So for example, we identify and also coordinate some of these people and invite one or two be a contributor for the survey. Would these people also be able to invite others, or is this what is the structure of like assigning the contributors? Thank you.
Maybe Giovanna, you'd like to take that one?
Sure, sure. So yeah, basically, I mean, there is the idea is that you can use the option. You are the organizational contact point for UNDESA. So it really, I mean, depends for every organization, like how you and how many people you wish to include, how you will manage it. But basically, inviting them already through the online system will enable them to participate in the survey. We can also do it for you, so we can create the links ourselves. But I would say that the best practice is that we create one link for the main organizational contact point, and then it would be you who can add as many colleagues as you consider pertinent to contribute. I don't know if this replies to your question, if you have any further comments.
No, it's a great. Thank you so much. Okay. It does. Yeah.
Excellent. Are there any other questions or comments? Philippe, yes, please feel free to comment.
Hi, thank you very much. That's very helpful and already answered quite a few of my questions. Probably, if it's okay with you, I will endeavour to complete it myself as many of ITU's diverse activities as might be deemed relevant. I think if you get others coming to it who haven't had this presentation, aren't sure where this survey is coming from, I think it might get filled out in quite different ways. So probably I will ask colleagues obviously to give their inputs, but it might be that I take on your platform by myself, sort of thing, if that's okay with you. Thanks.
Absolutely. So there's that freedom as a OCP, that's how we're calling you in your role, to take the lead, do it by yourself if you deem that appropriate. We know just in the national context that it can be a little bit overwhelming. So in this case, it's only 20 activities. You might be able to tackle those by yourself. So feel free. And great to hear that you're already completing them. That's really good. Excellent. Any other questions? Caroline.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the presentation. I had two questions, very specific one, more related to the OECD IEA sort of joint work program, and a broader one. So first, as you know, there are certain let's say teams we have that fall both under the OECD and the IEA, for instance, the Climate Club. So I was wondering, in that case, are you sort of like taking care of the reporting exercise on that end, or do you expect us to sort of also provide some entries on that on the IEA site? And then, yeah, I was curious also to hear the next steps and how it's going to look like once everything is completed, if you have any like already output in mind, or yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Caroline, for the question. So there is a field that allows us to add partner organizations. So in this case, for this IEA and OECD joint efforts, we could do it that way, but we'll need to coordinate amongst us. So maybe let's take that offline to make sure we decide who will report it, and then add the partners as each other. Yeah. Yes, well, in terms of how the portal would look like, we are now entering this phase where we are designing the portal. It's likely going to look similar to how our STIP Compass page looks now, in terms of how their policy initiatives are presented in the website. You might be able to enter in different ways. We likely have a specific sub-page for each international organization, and you will be able to see a summary of those activities and cross-enter the information in different ways. So we're in the phase of designing it, and we hope to have it ready and launch it next year. But I'm happy if my colleagues would like to comment something else on this. Michael, please.
Yeah, no, I think you said most of it, Daniela. But obviously we will also share with you some of those design questions. So it will be largely based on the existing infrastructure that we have, as Daniela said, because we also want to move quickly as well. We'd like to get this launched around May time next year. And so we will be reusing quite a lot of the existing sort of web page designs and the like. In the longer term, we probably will go for something different, but in the short term, at least to get this pilot out, that's what we'll be doing. But there will be room as well, as I say, for some design questions to be resolved or issues to be discussed. And of course, we very much we'll open that up to all of you as well to get your inputs on that. Probably maybe before the end of the year, but certainly by January.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments? Maybe Rahul, you seem to have an announcement. You are free to share it if you'd like.
Well, thank you, Daniela. I just thought that the meeting was wrapping up, and so I just wanted to flag to participants here of the CSTP's Dialogue with International Organizations, which is just a network of about 25 organizations that convene around our work and also talk about areas for further collaboration. Many of you or your organizations joined last time. But on January 21st, 2026 is our next edition of the IO Dialogue. And so we're happy for colleagues to talk about many of the initiatives that you actually are inputting into the STIP Compass in greater length with your peers across the network. So just to quickly plug that in before you wrap up. Thanks, Daniela.
Thank you, Rahul. Indeed, that's great. And we're very happy of the network that is coming out of this. So in fact, I joined an event, I think it was last week, from CEPAL, On it was a very interesting workshop on STI instruments for Latin America. I saw Fernando there. I saw Manuel from UNESCO there. So it's really great to see these networks coming together and learning from one another. So indeed, these are good opportunities to exchange on good practices. And we're also hoping that this data repository will enable that. Great. If there are no more questions or comments, we'll take some of the questions in the chat to follow up later, a few contact points. But we'd like to thank you all. We'll be in touch with next steps. We will be sending you a few reminders every other week to make sure you don't forget about us. And I think in the new year, we might have another tutorial to reconvene to remind you that this survey will wrap up and resolve any questions you might have. So feel free to reach us, and we wish you an excellent rest of your Monday. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Oh, the group photo.
Yes.
It might be a bit late now,
Yes,
but
yes.
I think I took one already. So thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Wei. Bye.
Bye.